Hi. Okay, guys, we have made it to the season finale of season 2. We've made it to Vegas. They have a month to find somewhere to live because the whole vacation rental thing is not going to work out long term. So, let's get into it. But first, hi, if you're new here, I'm Cozy. I like to snark about sister wives here on YouTube. I do like to remind you these videos are for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts. They're just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives publicly on television. So if that's cool, we're cool. You may have seen a little leg pop up there. That's Graham. He is typically my co-host. He is a giant baby, and when I say that, I mean like he's still a baby and he's also giant. We are pretty sure Graham is part Great Dane. Huh. Hey. Hi. He does not want to be on camera right now. I'm trying, but he does not want to. Do you want to come here? No. Okay. So, I guess instead of playing with Graham, we're going to talk about sister wives. So, let's hop into it and get into the nitty gritty. Because like we said, this vacation rental can't work out long term. And I wonder if this month was kind of enough to make the wives go, ooh, you know what? Maybe we don't want to share a home. Because they have to walk on eggshells all of the time around each other. And like, that's got to be the worst because you don't want to offend anybody. And I already understand as a YouTuber, because this is the only job that I have at the moment, you feel like you're constantly walking this fine line of not saying things that YouTube doesn't like, but also being able to convey your real true self to your audience because you want to be able to say the things that you really think and feel. So it's tough. Like, listen, we all know that YouTube hates certain topics. Y'all are great, but YouTube, you don't like things sometimes. Hi, Bubba. I just cut your nails. Why are you clicking? Okay, so season 2 finale, right? And it is. It just is. There is no, it's not great. It's not the most exciting, but I'm starting to realize that none of this was ever that exciting to begin with. I don't know how we all got sucked into this, but we open up with going public has caused so much tension in the family. Yeah, okay. So that's great. Flashback, please tell us why, because we certainly haven't spent 11 episodes at this point talking about an investigation that has had zero movement. Like, let's be serious. There's been tension over adding Robin. There has been tension over adding a new baby. There's been tension over new schools twice now. And frankly, the investigation is like the last thing, literally the last thing that has caused tension prior to this move. And I'm kind of overhearing about it. Like, honestly, I'm done. I don't care anymore. I think maybe back in the day I might have cared more, but at this point it's overblown. And we keep getting these explanations of why we moved to Vegas. And they tell us about the investigation at least 4 times an episode. And as I'm watching it back, I'm like, okay, obviously I already know what's happening, but 4 times an episode is a lot to hear about this investigation that has done nothing so far. But we're coming into day 1 at the rental, and there is furniture moving, boxes moving around, and Cody says that they have a whole new world to figure out. And so there's boxes and boxes and boxes piled in the driveway of this property. And as an older adult now, because I was an adult then, I have an understanding better of what they're doing and why, okay? Because they rented those trailers, and they're going to need to go back at some point. And so before I'm like, what are you doing? This isn't your house. Things are pretty well furnished. And maybe they're not entirely furnished, and that's why they need to take some of it. But I kind of get it now. Because they could have left everything at the house in Lehigh and come back for it, paid movers, gotten family to help. But we're not to the point yet where we're doing the permanent U-Haul and leave it at Coyote Pass scheme yet. So we've got to figure out something. And Cody's in the kitchen, and he's explaining his feelings. And he says he feels born again. And what a place to be born again, he says. Las Vegas. I don't know that I've ever used the words born again outside of talking about my faith. Obviously, people know Christians use the phrase born again Christian. But Cody is feeling very strongly about Vegas and feels the same vibes, I suppose. He goes on to say that they protected the children emotionally from the threat of the investigation. I disagree. Graham, please don't throw your toy. Thank you. I disagree. The children are panicking over every police car. They are having this heartbreak of just uprooting them from their family, from their friends, from all these things they know. The older children are policing their own emotions, and they can't have these outward emotions about anything in order to protect the little kids. I mean, we heard Logan policing the other kids about it this last time. This is not emotional protection. I'm sorry, it's not to me. That is my opinion. He goes on to say the kids didn't understand what they would gain by being here, and it's still my opinion that what they stood to gain was a paycheck that they might not have been able to receive in Utah, but once again, my opinion, not fact. I suppose that the money was a good thing, though, because it kind of afforded the family all these opportunities that a lot of us, frankly, are never going to get. My YouTube is small. It is not like I am about to be taking some massive family vacation off of my YouTube money. No, I'm lucky to pay the electric bill to, keep the lights on to do this. But that's not the point. The point is to hang out with you guys, right? That's not the point of doing this. And so I understand that they were afforded these financial opportunities by this, but at what cost? Because I think that the move to Vegas definitely opened a lot of doors for the kids. Like, they were opened up to a whole new world, and the wives were able to more find themselves, and they had this world outside of polygamy, outside of the Latter-day Saints, outside of all of that. But there is a cost to every decision that we make. And so Janelle notes that Cody is daydreaming out the window at this point. And it's the first time in months that she's seen him just sit there and do nothing. And great, that's fantastic, but get up and help move things. I'm sorry, everyone else is trying to do that, and this is a callback to when Mary helped move Robin, and she's like, get it done and then take a nap. That's what we do. And so Mary's like, it's been weird because I feel at home in Vegas, and Robin's like, that fast? And Mary is adamant, and I know that Mary struggled in Vegas, but I think honestly it was good for her in a lot of ways too. She got to open some doors, she met some people, and people that she still is friends with and cares about to this day. And Robin says that she knew her body was feeling it because she slept very well that night, which she hadn't done in months. And listen, I have not slept great for the better part of 3 years. And I'm not joking. For the better part of 3 years, I have slept horribly. And so that first night of great sleep is not to be laughed at. For those of you who may have missed my life update, husband got a new job that is finally off of night shift, and I am so thrilled to have him at home and to have a more normal relationship routine and to get to feel that comfort going to sleep. But Robin goes on to say she lost 15 pounds before they left because she just had no appetite. And now she's actually hungry. And stress will definitely do that to you. But Cody goes on to say that the teens are a step behind the adults because they don't realize the weight of the potential threats. And once again, I beg to differ. These kids have struggled. They've been heartbroken, stressed out at every step of this journey. And we've watched them breaking down for episodes, weeks on weeks, in fear of their parents going to jail and losing everything they've ever known. And I honestly think that they were more stressed out than you guys ever were as the adults because they had even less say in what path their life was going to take. You guys got to make decisions and they had nothing. And yes, of course, this home has vacation style amenities and the little kids are thinking that it's brilliant and they're taking advantage, and they should. And Cody tells us that the little kids, they're light and fluffy. The adults are free, but the teens are bitter. And do you really blame them? Be serious. Be for real. Because Maddie explains it best when she says, we're away from home. We aren't going to school. We don't have a functional day-to-day routine to rely on. And she's like, we don't even have a permanent house. We are living out of suitcases in a vacation rental. But we're not going to address that. We're not going to address Maddie's stress because Robin has to remind us that the investigation, it isn't gone. It's just a mindset for them, though. Nothing's changed on paper, but their mindset is now different. I like how we're pretending that states don't extradite people between one another all the time for various crimes, but sure, you know what? It's just a mindset. It's not really there. It's gone. So Mary feels like they've been guided to Las Vegas, and you may have, but probably not in the way that you mean, Mary. Robin reminds us that working on a deadline, and Mona is desperately searching for these homes, and Mona puts it lightly when she says that working with the Browns is a challenge. Graham, please stop. Thank you. And so they want one giant home altogether. And that doesn't exist in Vegas. Frankly, it doesn't really exist most places. Even in the Midwest where you have these old farmhouses that stood for so long that they don't have that many rooms in them. Back when people were having many more children than what is average now, the rooms, the beds, they were often shared with multiple kids. And so these giant houses that they're seeking would be more of a modern concept. And frankly, they want Mar-a-Lago on a West Virginia budget. If you don't know, West Virginia is the lowest cost of living in the United States. So Mona's looking for 4 rental homes, and they need to be as near to each other as possible. So they discuss the arrangements at the rental house. They have 6 boys, 10 girls, and the 5 adults in a 4-bedroom home. So obviously the wives are each going to get a room, and then, Hunter explains that everyone just sort of sleeps wherever, and that they have the boys and the girls in separate spaces, but basically it's find a spot, crash, and fall asleep. And Cody's like, listen, these rooms are cramped, each mom's going to get their own room, but there's one giant master bedroom, and I'm not going to assign it to somebody. And I bet we can guess who would have gotten it, because they need it. You know, they never had a giant room before, and the kids would need it for reasons I don't actually know. In the end, Christine ends up with the big bedroom because the crib for Truly needed to fit, and the wives decided together that that's how it would work best. And now we are going to have yet another party for Cody's birthday. Bring it up here. And they've had 3 parties in very short order. Thank you. But you know, they needed it, and we get it. The famous line, "This family has never had a birthday forgotten," is uttered at this point. And that aged like milk. Because we've seen one birthday forgotten on the show. We've had another child say their birthday went ignored very recently. And I imagine those are not the only 2 since all the separations. I don't know for sure, but I just to make that sort of assumption. And Robin says when you have such a big family, you want each individual to feel special. And I had to take pause typing this. I did. Because I just felt genuinely sad for the Brown kids and all of the struggles of the last several years. And as a mom, it's a super hard thing to consider that anybody would feel like their birthday was forgotten. That's horrifying. But we jump into the next bit, and I have feelings. Cody says that after he and Robin married, he wanted more children, so he began pressuring her to consider it. Ew. She wanted to wait because going public was stressful, and the investigation came right after it. And he's like, so we weren't ready, but now we've left Utah. Okay? And then they're justifying it, being like, we've been married for so long, it's been a whole 10 months. And they get all lovey-dovey about talking about being ready to try now that they're in Nevada. And I want to remind people that they are talking about trying to have a baby when they have nowhere to live. They want another tiny life that they are responsible for while they're transient. And math and timing of the pregnancy announcement don't lie. Robin likely got pregnant while they were in the vacation rental. That is irresponsible. We own our home. We have our lives somewhat put together, and I have to come to terms with the fact that while I might want another baby, that's not really in the cards for us. I'm responsible enough to know that I have a medical condition that would be affected by weight gain or often by hormones, and historically, that's gotten worse during all of my pregnancies. Both of my pregnancies, I should say. And so you have to have this level of responsibility of knowing when and when not to be responsible for another teeny tiny human being. Day 2, we are now looking for storage units to put their things in as they search for these homes to live in. Once again, we could have left it all in Lehigh for free, but I get needing things when you find a place to live. There was still an option of having it moved to you at that time. You would sign paperwork, you don't generally get the keys same day. You could have had it moved to you. I also love that one of the priority items that Cody needed to bring with him was his motorcycle, because that was obviously one of the most important things to have. It could not have stayed safely in Utah until a more appropriate time. No, we needed it right now. So we review the criteria for finding a home and how they're just finding out that Nevada is really big on living in the school district. Is Utah not? Do any of you guys live in Utah? Help me. Do you not have, even here, you have to live in the district unless they open enroll. And not all of them do. And a lot of them have closed enrollment that used to open enroll. But Mary says sort of blankly, like seriously, blankly, that we've all decided that Robin should have the first house. But why? Why does it have to be Robin that gets focused on? And I know they give us the sob story of Robin explaining their kids have moved around a lot, but so has the Browns. The Browns have moved quite a bit. Honestly, if I had to pick a wife that needed a home first, it's Janelle. Her kids seem to be the most affected, and she has the most teenagers. We already see her 4 oldest. I was going to say 3 originally, but no, the 4 oldest are struggling with the confusion of having so many people, no rooms to sleep in, moving so unexpectedly. And Maddie's already talking about how stressful it is to be living out of suitcases, not have a place to call home, not have a routine. In this episode, she has the most kids and the most need, in my opinion, and I would love to hear who you think should have had the first home. go ahead and comment it down below. You can call me wrong. You can call me stupid. I really don't care. I just want to know what you guys think. Do you think there was a different wife that needed a home first? That's my curiosity, since they're dividing this up so differently. But Mona's like, I found a neighborhood with a few homes to rent in a small area. And she says they just sort of drove around until they found something that Robin liked. Great. So Robin found a home Friday, signed the papers Sunday, and enrolled the kids in school on Tuesday. From what I can see, they enrolled all the kids using Robin's address as the address for everyone, which you can't do. They don't live there. And Christine's like, oh, well, the vacation rental is about a half an hour away from where they're going to live. But girlfriend, you cannot know for sure that that is where you are going to live. So explaining that you lied on a school form on television is not a great look. And further explaining that you're taking the kids in shifts to the different school buildings on top of that, probably also not great. But she's explaining the morning routines, that you got to do the girls' hair and the boys' showers and different start times for the different age groups. And I'm still stunned that they're sitting here admitting to this level of dishonesty. Hi, baby. But I guess, and I hate to say it, their religion sort of relies on lie to get by, if you understand what I mean. You can't be honest about your family. You can't be honest about your living situation. You need to say what you need to say to live every day, right? And really, I'd be interested to see how they reconcile the dishonesty of their lifestyle against, like, the 9th commandment of not lying. Also, I couldn't remember what number lying was, so I Googled it, and I clicked on a link, and I wasn't paying attention, and the irony of this is you're gonna love it. I accidentally clicked on the homepage, or on the webpage for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I thought that was so ironic and funny. I'm not upset that I clicked on that page. That's not what it is. It was just the irony of it. But, like, I would legitimately love if I could find somebody in the AUB, like, actually active in it, who was willing to discuss topics like how do you reconcile the dishonesty of the lifestyle with this, how's this work. I would be super cool, but I don't live in a place where there's, like, any polygamous presence, so I really am pretty sure that's going to be hard to find. So the kids are super nervous because the school is huge, but that is of little concern because this is also the day they moved Robin into her home, and Cody and Robin are just twinkling and sparkling away on the couch discussing it. And it's super interesting because there are a few kids there helping to move, so not everyone went to school on this first day, or is this after? I don't know. But she says she fell in love with this home, and it's going to be nice to be in the same place for longer than 6 months. She was already in one place for longer than 6 months, but I understand the hyperbole. They spend the day unloading Robin's things, and then the kids come home from school. And when we asked how it was, we heard someone go, horrible. I'm not even sure who said it. The only good thing that we heard were that some of the teachers were good. So Cody says that he thinks the mortgage on one big home would be a lot less expensive than the rent on 4 smaller ones. And while that could be true, you move to a place that doesn't have that kind of home. And frankly, the zoning laws probably prohibit it. In fact, I went and looked up the Vegas zoning laws for you guys. And don't say I never do research for these videos, because I wanted to see what happens. So under the zoning code, what they want would be considered a multifamily residential property. As defined, Leslie, multifamily residential is a structure used or designed as a residence for 3 or more families or households living independently of one another. Great. That's what they want, right? But according to a zoning, a single family dwelling may not have more than 1 full kitchen in the home. So before they were talking about a big home with 4 kitchens and an individual wing, what they actually would have would be more like a quadplex. So 4 homes all together being not rented in this case, but typically you would rent those apartments, if you will, out. And you're not going to find a quadplex that's going to have, 6 bedrooms per. So I went to the Simply Vegas real estate site because I wanted to see if there was anything available currently that would have even come close to fitting the Browns' needs back in, 2011, 2012, wherever we're at. So I looked for the listings in Henderson, Nevada specifically. Tons of single-family homes. Tons. And then I tried looking for multifamily. Literally nothing for sale. So Mona's not wrong to say that things aren't hard to find. But I decided I'm going to look for anything 5 bedrooms and up, because most places had 5. The most I saw was 8. But bathrooms, if you want a 5-bedroom, 12-bathroom home, there is one for sale in Henderson, Nevada. It is $22 million. But you'd be able to bathe in a new location every night for nearly 2 weeks. Suffice it to say, I was doing my due diligence to figure out if the Browns could have even had a shot at finding something close to what they wanted. And the answer is, they were pretty honest when they said that most homes had topped out at 5 bedrooms, because that's what I found too in 2024. They probably should have taken the 10 minutes it took to Google the zoning laws and also the real estate listings, but hindsight's 2020. So they share that money's a major concern, and they're all unemployed at this time. And they want to use their retirement to start a family business. And we all know how that goes, but we haven't gotten there yet. We will get there eventually. Mary's super optimistic that it's going to work out. And Christine says we're just going to have to adjust their life, their budget, their everything, because they need comfort for their kids. They need comfort for themselves, and they need stability. They need to have somewhere to go. Cody wants all the kids to have access to each other, and he wants to have access to all the kids. And Mary points out that the kids need access to all the moms. And Christine's like, yeah, it's important to me to have access to all the kids because that's what I want. And it's interesting that Cody seems to focus so much on himself and how his access to the kids would be, while sort of possibly unintentionally downplaying the desire that the mothers would have to see all of the children, because it's almost like it's this first subtle move to start separating kids from the different women, if that makes sense. But Mary shares that the kids are getting bored hanging around the house because they don't have friends yet, and some of them have Utah learner permits that are not valid in Vegas. They're definitely getting antsy, stir crazy, but she's going to let them drive around the parking lot for a little bit and practice. And I guess if you have the space, let them try, but I don't know how that would work, you know what I'm saying? And so she's like, I didn't even watch them. I probably should have. More than likely, yes, that would be the smartest thing to do. The kids share with the cameras that living in this separate homes is going to suck because they won't be able to see each other as often. And you can't just go through a door and hang out with a different mom and her kids, you know, when you need a little bit of space. So the next wife to find a home is Janelle, who admits she really wasn't looking and she thought she was going to be the last one. And I have to call her out a little bit here for all the reasons that I laid out previously. Your kids needed stability so much, but your hands-off and more don't rock the boat attitude entirely missed out on what they were begging for. And I'm glad she found a place for them, but I wish that the Janelle back then would have had a little more fire in her belly, a little bit more fight for the things that she needed. And she admits the listing was originally emailed to them for Mary, and that Janelle wasn't about to get attached to it, but it felt comfortable and it felt like home. So I'm glad she actually did fight for this specifically, even though she says she felt bad that she liked it so much. And Mary tries to reassure her. She shouldn't feel bad for liking something. But Janelle knows she doesn't really care what a house looks like. And Robin's like, no, the excitement was leaking out of Janelle. And so she starts to list the reasons that she likes it. The bedrooms are larger than the ones that she had in Utah. And the street is quiet. And she doesn't know what the neighbors are going to think of them. But Robin beams at her and she's like, I'm sure it'll be fine. And Robin makes this weird analogy about walking a fine line of what you need and what you want, but then offering it on the sister-wife altar and being like, hey, your needs are important too, because you have to balance everybody. You have to balance their wants, their needs, your needs, and everything else when you're doing something like this. And I am so glad I am not in that position, because every single time I'm going to fight for what my kids need. It's just who I am. I know that about myself. That's where we are. So we get down to 2 weeks left in this vacation rental. And Christine's like, nothing's opening up that I'm interested in renting. And somehow we parlay that into this conversation about modesty. And now look, if you have been here for more than 4 seconds, you're aware that I have a particular faith. I'm a Christian. I believe, I follow Christ, that's what I do. But that does not mean that I am out here expecting myself or my kids to dress in some sort of ultra-conservative way. I wear a lot of dresses. You guys see me in them. It's because I'm comfortable like that. That's how I feel comfortable. But you also see me in t-shirts and leggings like I am right now. My kids wear shorts and tank tops. I don't allow anything too short or that shows too much because there are bad people in this world. And that is not the kind of, I'm not offering my kids or myself up to those kind of people. All that to say, McKelty does not seem dressed that inappropriate to me. So many people commenting on her clothes growing up is hard. I grew up in an environment where I was constantly shamed for my body, particularly my upper torso, if you will. I developed not super young, but pretty fast. And it always seemed like no matter how baggy or how covered up, I could never be good enough. Even into my 30s, I was told that I couldn't wear sweaters to work because they were too provocative. It's winter, I'm cold, and I like this sweater. I have had a lot of issues with how I look and how I wear clothing because of all of that, and I refuse to pass that on to my kids. And while I'm not going to let them invite in attentions that they shouldn't, I also am not going to make them feel like they're asking for things just by existing. Because hearing McKelty talk, I can feel younger me being frustrated by the way that I was spoken to. Because it still hurts today. I can't change this about myself, not without surgery. And to still hear these things at 35, it hurts. Because Mary's talking about how the attire in Vegas is definitely different than in Salt Lake. And it is. The Latter-day Saint population in Utah is a lot higher. And most people, or not most, but at least a lot more, wear garments. And they need to cover that up. And so it's going to change that dynamic for sure, I suppose. Cody says he's just worried about the influence on the children. And Robin's like, there are more choices here, and the kids are seeing things they've never seen before. So the kids are really going to have to decide where they stand. But are you letting them do that? I don't think you are. McKelty's like, I don't like what people telling me what to do or what to change about myself. She's like, I like how I look, and I would like people to like that too. And we know McKelty was very into fashion at this point, so I think her clothing really was, don't do that please, was that important to her. And so Robin's giving us this modesty spiel about having things showing and being a message to boys out there. And she's like, you don't get it until you're married, and maybe not even then. I know I do, because I can be in husband's athletic shorts and a paint-covered t-shirt, and he's still going to think whatever it is that he's going to think. You know what I mean? I'm not in control of that. I understand her point, but someone had to buy those clothes for McKelty. She had 3 layers on. Find a better way to talk to her, or don't buy the clothes in the first place. And Robin never really finishes her thought. She's like, they're beautiful girls, and then tries to hug Maddie, who pulls away and makes this uncomfortable smile. She is not appreciative of this. So Cody's reminding us that they are 2 weeks away from being out of the vacation rental. And now they're getting nervous because he's like, I can't just ask Mary and Christine to settle for the house down the street when Robin and Janelle got what they were looking for. Sorry, buckaroos. Sometimes we settle for things because that's for the good of our families. And Christine says she wants to be able to settle in and settle down. She wants 5 bedrooms to be close to the family, and her kids enrolled in the same school. And Mona says that Christine's been the most difficult to find, especially since Janelle and Robin are committed to homes, and now they have a radius in which to work. And then we get the quick cut to Christine dancing that they have found it. So now it's time to get Christine moved in, and the amount of U-Hauls this family rents is insane. But Christine does have a nice home to live in. So I'm actually going to cut this off here and do a part 2, because the second half of this, I really had a lot of thoughts and a lot to say, and I don't want to make this video, hours and hours and hours long. Number one, it takes forever for me to get it uploaded onto the site when I do that. But number 2, I feel like you guys don't always have the retention to sit there for videos that are more than 30 minutes. If you would prefer the long videos, tell me, but it does make it a little bit easier on me too, because I can stop, get a drink, take a breath, and collect my thoughts to give you the rest of them. Also, it might help to get Graham to stop scuttlebutting around here. Hey, bro. No, thank you. He is being a goofy goober tonight. So, I'm going to cut it here and bring us back to the second part of this here shortly. As far as anything else y'all need to know, I don't really think that I have any announcements. I don't really think I have any exciting. I did just post a picture over on my community tab of my new crochet project, which is a little odd, but I am the cozy gaming mom, right? I do love a good cozy video game. So I have been crocheting some of my favorite video game characters as chubby bunnies. I just finished Sophia from a mod for Stardew Valley called Stardew Valley Expanded. She's not my favorite character, but she is my absolute favorite sprite. That's the picture that I posted. I also have a couple other ones which are not my favorite characters, but my favorite sprites that I'm working on right now, which will get posted, well, as soon as I get them done, or you'll see them in the background of videos. We are actually actively working on revamping this space to make it a little bit better. So now I can see my notes a little less better than I could before, but we'll make adjustments for that too. So I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. I want to get back to you in part 2, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!